Look, it is a challenge in higher density areas for people to get outside and to spread their legs.
I'm a bit sick of dropkicks that can't get themselves organised.
Well, yes, indeed. Welcome to The Whip, our weekly half-hour injection of politics. A landmark win for Democrats. 34-year-old Zohan Mandami romps home ahead of Andrew Cuomo. In this moment of political darkness, New York will be the light, is what he says. Trump calls him a total nut job. Also on The Whip, the government removing treaty requirements from schools. David Seymour says you can have tikanga as much as you want, just that it won't be law. And an adult conversation on nuclear power needed. With me this evening, Holly Bennett, founder of Awhi, a kaupapa Māori government relations firm, former advisor to Minister Paul Goldsmith. Holly, kia ora. It is lovely to have you here on The Whip.
Kia ora.
Great to have you here with us. Also, Corin Dann, host of Morning Report and co-host of Context. Corin, great to have you at both ends of the day on
Lovely to be back. Lovely
Good
to
on
be
you.
back. Welcome, everybody.
And they are joined by former Green MP from 1999 to 2011, Sue Kedgely, none other. Sue, lovely to have you on the show.
Lovely to be here, Wallace.
All
Can't
right.
believe, Corin, what a punishment.
Do I look that
Both
bad?
ends.
Good heavens, Sue. Calm down.
No, she's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
Yeah.
Because I like
When
Wallace
does
so
he
much.
sleep?
Yeah, it looks speechless. No, good on you, Corin. I do appreciate it. Anyway, time for that one political question on the whip. So, here he goes. Before the one mayor super city, Auckland in 2009 had 7 mayors. Now, this is Rodney Hyde, the man who brought in the super city.
A lot of these mayors here simply feel the plan you've put forward is wrong.
Well, they do, but we've listened to Auckland, we've heard it loud and clear that Auckland's been a city that's been divided for too long. For 60 years it hasn't been able to get its act together.
So my question is this. Name 3 Auckland mayors just before the super city came into being. So name 3 Auckland mayors just before the super city came into being. All right, so I'm going to give you one. Mark Ball Franklin. What are 3 others? 2, 1, 0, 1. Now, speaking of mayors, first tonight by a landslide, Zohan Mandami is New York's new mayor.
New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change, a mandate for a new kind of politics, a mandate for a city we can afford, and a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that.
Well, the race was essentially unchallenged after he took the world by storm. The 34-year-old self-described democratic socialist was born Uganda, worked as a housing councillor and hip-hop DJ. New York's first Muslim mayor, Donald J. Trump, hates him, calls him a total nut job, threatened to cut funds to communist Mandami. Andrew Cuomo once said in an interview, Trump will go through Mandami like a hot knife through butter. So what does it mean for US politics? Holly Bennett, you first.
I'm not particularly enamoured by this mayor. And
So you're not a fan?
Not a fan, and I'll tell you why. It just comes down to one statement, and people could say this is futile, but I think it's really important. His comments around Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he said if Netanyahu came to New York, he would arrest him. And I think, what are we sitting in? Totalitarianism? I'm absolutely over politicians who speak in hyperbole in this way, and it misunderstands the law and what we're supposed to be doing with it.
Okay, so for you, there's a hard no for Mandami. All right. What about you, Sue Kedgely? How do you see this?
I thought he was electrifying. I watched his speech tonight, his acceptance speech. Absolutely electrifying. And, he mobilised 100,000 volunteers to help him, win that election. And he's completely, relentlessly focused on the working class and on cost of living. He didn't vary from that. He's completely inspiring, convincing. You didn't doubt for a minute that he would achieve his unbelievably radical goals. And if he does achieve some of them, he will usher in a political revolution.
I'm going to come to you, Corin, very, very soon. I just want to go back to Holly on that. I mean, he is, some would say he is, he's like a Bernie Sanders in a way. He's a disruptor. Would you give him that?
Perhaps, but talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Especially in politics.
Okay.
Especially in politics in 2025.
Right, yeah. I mean, Corin, what do you think? Is that a
This
fair
is
thing to say?
absolutely
massive for politics on the left of the spectrum, I think, right around the Western world. All of left-wing groups, politicians will be watching this extremely closely. There's a couple of things going on here. Mandami is a socialist. He's run on a very left-wing platform. He has energised young people and diverse groups across that city in a way that has not been seen on the left since Obama, basically using social media. He's authentic in his delivery. Now, he's criticised as being an actor and all sorts of stuff, but he has done it very effectively. Is that the direction that the left is going to go? Are they going to go harder left, class warfare, class politics, economics, cost of living? Or are they going to stay in the centre, which is where the establishment Democrats are? And the funny thing is, the other two governor races today, Abigail Spanberger, are centrist, one Virginia. And then you've also got a centrist in Mikey Sherrill. Now, so it's not clear as to where the Democrats will go, but I don't think you can underestimate the impact of this victory. I think the left in the Western world is watching this very closely.
Holly?
I have not really anything further to add. I think it's good I'm up in Auckland.
I mean, this is it's giving it's putting the likes of, say, your Chuck Schumers, your Nancy Pelosi's in a different setting, isn't it, Sue? Out with the old guard, in with this new firebrand voice. What do you reckon?
Well, he's so also optimistic and convincing. He's completely inspired this new generation. And, you know, his agenda, I mean, free public transport. Oh, he's going to tax the all millionaires. Everyone who earns $1 million is going to get a 2% tax, every year. And this is going to pay for free childcare, rent freezes, free public transport. Well, they've got free public transport in Melbourne, so, why not? But that all seems to us completely unimaginable. But when you hear Mamdani, you completely believe him that he is going to achieve this agenda.
This is what I actually come in with Holly Bennett's quote, that talk is cheap, Corin, because when you come to some of the things about nationalising supermarkets and free childcare, that sort of thing, talk is cheap.
No, it's an absolutely fair point. I just think that because the left is reeling in the face of populism and Trumpism, it's looking for an answer.
Right.
And this is raising the question as to whether going harder left with a Mamdani type character is the way to go, or whether the centre is the way to go. You're not wrong, obviously, as someone who's going to be a socialist coming in New York, the centre of capitalism, the capitalist world, how is he going to do these things? Is it realistic that he can do it? But people want him to do it, and so watching it's just going to be fascinating. I mean, I look at it from the perspective as a political observer of US politics, and I just think it's a massive moment. I
don't think disingenuousness on the Republican side should be met with disingenuousness from the Democrat side, and that's the thing that I have the real problem with here, because it's starting to become a race to the bottom with politicians these days and the way that they speak to the voters, assuming that they can say things that voters think stock standard makes sense, but they can actually do in law. And these are the things that I find really concerning, especially when some of the kōrero around him were saying that his words reflect integrity. I don't think it's very representative of integrity to say things to voters that you can't do.
Okay, so Holly, not buying it. We'll watch the space. 18 to 8, by the way, that question, the quiz question, which is just give us the name of 3 Auckland mayors. Auckland once had 7 mayors. This is pre-super city.
Glad you're not asking us.
I think I got one.
Well, that's why it's quite something to think about, isn't it? So give us 3 of those mayors, 2101. I know it's quite hard. It was back in 2010, but if you can give us 3 Auckland mayors, that's the question today. But to this, now the government is scrapping rules requiring school boards to embed te tiriti. The rules were first implemented by a Labour government in 2020, and Education Minister Erica Stanford says parents and teachers should not be lumped with this responsibility. Meanwhile, David Seymour says these tikanga is being overemphasised at schools.
It's fair to say that there's enough parents out there who are tired of feeling like their kids' school has become an eternal marae visit. It is possible to respect the Māori language and culture without artificially inserting it into every aspect of life with a karakia before each lesson or Māori words through their entire maths lesson.
Okay, Holly, when you hear David Seymour say that, as a Māori lobbyist, what goes through your mind?
Lots of things. I'm not sure I can say many of them on air, but let's try start. One thing is that tikanga is not te tiriti is not tikanga. That's the first thing, so we've got a problem there. When we look at what's happening right now, you can spray confetti te tiriti across legislation. It does not mean the Crown's going to do it. And that is the reason why I don't see too much problem with what's happening right now. What I do have a problem is the way in which the government went about doing this, doing it through an amendment paper. It's not good lawmaking. We didn't have the chance to have a look at it. And then what is the question that we need to answer? How is the Crown going to uphold it? You can't talk about reo Māori. You actually need to have a wider conversation. And this is where the government continues to fail people on this, because they talk about tikanga and then they interchange that with te tiriti, and they're not the same thing.
Okay, Sue Kedgely, I mean, is this part of a wider shift on Te Ao Māori? So, I mean, how do you read this?
It's interesting to see how this is going to play out politically, because we've got pundits like, I noticed Duncan Garner tonight saying this is going to unshackle schools, it's going to appeal to mainstream New Zealand, he said, and he predicted that National would get a great boost in the polls because of it, which I found extraordinary. But it is a huge, and it's setting a new precedent, because the government's trying to sort of downplay it. But it's saying that you only have to teach tikanga Māori and te ao Māori if the parents and caregivers want it. Well, that's a whole new precedent. So what I want to know is, how is this going to be played out when we're in a classroom? Someone's wanting to be taught about parehaka, and for parents say, well, I don't want my children to be taught about it. So what are they going to have? Two different classes?
No,
I mean, how
David Seymour says you can talk about that. You can do as much as you like, but it's just not going to be written into law.
No. The legislation is quite clear that only if parents, wrote it down, if parents or caregivers want their children to be taught. So if a parent doesn't want it, how does that play out in the classroom?
Well, I mean, the flip side of this, though, is that in state education, it's not the duty of the Māori students to teach the other students what tikanga or te ao Māori is. And that was the situation I was put in my state school, as being one of the only students in a Decile 9 school. It's not my obligation. So this is why we actually need to have politicians who understand what their duty is under the Crown partnership, under Te Tiriti, to reflect that. So children in state school, like myself, are not being quasi-teacher, because I didn't get paid for that, but I was put in the place to be the teacher.
Okay. Well, let's bring Corin. I mean, Corin, we have heard from some parents and teachers who are, fair to say, pretty outraged by this change. How do you think this move will be landing, more broadly?
Well, for a couple of things. Obviously, schools can continue to do it. We talked a lot about this on Morning Report this morning, and schools obviously can keep having a te ao Māori approach and focus on tikanga if they want. The other thing is the curriculum is still going to be very, there's still going to be large elements of that do have te ao Māori. That was the argument that Erica Stanford was making. But it does smack a little bit of the tail wagging the dog. That was the argument that I think Kamel Sepuloni made this morning, that, this is obviously perhaps New Zealand First pushing National in that direction of that sort of cultural war type stuff. I think that comes with risks for National. Duncan Garner may well be right that there is some element of the electorate that wants this, pullback from that direction of travel on the treaty. But I think that's risky for National, because they need to be razor focused on their task at hand, which is trying to fix the economy.
They seem to be razor fixed on rolling back te ao Māori.
If they get bogged down in this stuff,
it's distracting.
They run the risk of looking like they are focusing on things that are not the core issue.
So I want to go to Holly and Sue then. To both of you, Holly first. Is this culture wars?
Well, it depends what your perspective is. So one of the things that I saw happen in the House was in regards to this discussion, one of the Green Party MPs stood up and said that he found it offensive that Erica Stanford was using te reo Māori in the House. And I just find this getting to the lowest ebb of energy when we're talking about something that's actually really important, which is the Crown's obligation to uphold te tiriti. And when I watched what the kōrero was from people like Willow Jean Prime, they had very clear questions of the minister, which were fair to ask, to say, what have you done to talk to iwi leaders, to te ao Māori, to make sure that they understand what is happening? And those are the questions that need to be had, not all of this trifling stuff.
Okay, Sue Kedgely, is this culture wars at play?
Well, it does seem to me that the government is thinking that there are votes to be gained by rolling back te ao Māori, and that this is becoming one of its core agenda issues. So that certainly seems to be the underlying, what's underlying here, because the Minister, Nicola Willis, this morning was saying that the amendment that the Labour Party made in 2020 had no effect. Well, if that was the case, why make this controversial move? And also, I completely agree with Holly, sneaking it in at the end, without consultation, without consulting with the sector, with Māori. I mean, how is it going to be worked out? I come back to my point. It says that they will only be taught if parents and caregivers want them to. Now, that sets a precedent, and I'm sure that there will be plenty of parents who will seek to challenge if it is being taught in schools.
All right, very good, very good. Now, if you just joined us, we with the Whip, the weekly half-hour injection of politics, we have Sue Kedgely and Holly Bennett and Corin Dann. Loving your feedback, by the way, quite a bit coming through. But let's go back to this quiz question, and that is, before the one mayor super city, and it's now Wayne Brown, of course, Auckland in 2009 had, amazing to think of it now, 7 mayors. Here is Rodney Hyde and Mark Sainsbury, the man Rodney Hyde, he bought in the super city. Have a listen.
A lot of these mayors here simply feel the plan you've put forward is wrong.
Well, they do, but we've listened to Auckland, we've heard it loud and clear that Auckland's been a city that's been divided for too long. For 60 years it hasn't been able to get its act together.
Oh, there you go. All right, I think we have Janice on the line. Janice, kia ora, how are you this evening?
Kia ora, it's Diana, but good to talk to you, Wallace.
Oh, sorry about that, Diana. Very, very good. All right, now, okay.
I hope you want to talk to me. But
no. Well, I hope so, because it's quite a tricky one. Firstly, can you believe, thinking about it, that Auckland actually once had 7 mayors?
I sure can, yes. It's only 15 years ago, so
Exactly.
I'm old, so I can remember it.
All right, so here we go. Name for us 3 Auckland mayors at the time of the super city.
Okay, we have Penny Webster in Rodney.
Yes.
And
Right.
we have George Wood, North Shore.
Okay.
And, finally, Len Brown in Manukau.
You got it.
Then became Super City Mayor.
You got it. Amazing, isn't it? And look, the North Shore, I'm a bit confused whether it might have been George Wood, because he stopped in 2007, or was it Andrew Williams?
I think it was Andrew Williams.
It was Andrew Williams. Oh, well, look, I didn't get the answer.
No,
Never mind. You're right.
2 out of 3 ain't bad on the Whip, I tell you what. Very, very nice to have you here. Thank you very much, Diana.
Thank you.
Very good. Amazing, isn't it, when you think about it, Sue, that it was a 7-mayor city.
Yeah, I mean, there are many people who think that the super city is too big, too vast, and that they can't really relate to it. It's like this sort of vast bureaucracy.
Do you reckon that one day Wellington will go the same way?
One day, probably much of Wellington will, but they were trying to get this huge super city involving the Wairarapa, and I don't think that ever will happen or should happen.
Okay, very good. All right, 8 away from 8. Now, it's hard to keep up with the state of Te Pāti Māori these days. Some commentators have warned it's enough to cause motion sickness. The internal party rift has become clear, with the co-leaders labelling Taku Te Wheres and Maria Meno Kapakingi 2 rogue MPs, quote unquote. But 1 month on from the party's so-called reset and 1 year away from the next election, is the party a ticking time bomb. Sue Kedgely, what do you think?
All I can say is if I was a member of Te Pāti Māori, I would be weeping at the incredible damage it's causing to the party, and also and to the potential implosion of the entire party, and not even over a matter of policy or principle, but personality and culture. And it's sure every political party has suffered in factions and fighting, but I have never seen anything as vitriolic or as astonishing as John Tamahiri's attack. I mean, he is the leader of a party, and he's effectively waging war on his own MPs. I mean, leaders are supposed to unite and reconcile a political party, and he seems to be almost publicly trashing several of his own MPs. So I find it absolutely astonishing. And
maybe that's the problem though, Sue, because he is actually not the leader, he's the president, and presidents don't traditionally have such a public-facing way in this, and then that's what you're seeing, the denigration of the actual MPs, the ones who are voted in there. And I'm watching this play out just like you. I'm mortified, but I would go one step further than your diplomatic answer, Sue, and I would say to Maria Mino and Tākuta, cut. Go, leave now, become independents and run in your seats and do the best you can for your electorate. And then what are you going to do next year? You're going to try getting cabinet. That's your job.
Okay, out of the ballpark there with Holly Bennett. I mean, that's easier said than done.
Well, they might get waka jumped if they do. That's the other thing.
You could equally argue, Holly, that maybe it should be John Tamahiri who should cut and run.
Oh, indeed. And I mean, that's some of the pressure that I've seen happen from the founding members happening right now, and that's a very fair question. But what I would say to Maria Mino and Tākuta Ferris is whether or not they think that they deserve this, and I don't think that they do.
Okay. Now, Corin, does this rift come down to a classic progressive party issue where these tensions between being activists and being politicians? I mean, we've seen it with other...
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I've asked that question of John Tamahiri, of Baden Barber today, who's trying to meet... There's a meeting tomorrow to try and see if they can patch this up. And I'm not sure that we've had a clear answer as to what has driven this rift.
That meeting with iwi leaders, that is a disgrace. What is going on with Iwi Chairs Forum that they think people who represent about 20% of the population are in there doing some sort of RG talk, have a little talk fest with 3% of a political party that represents 3%. I just think right now what these iwi leaders need to be doing is we've either got two things happening. Myopic reporting that doesn't understand Te Ao Māori, or we have iwi leaders who are not focused on what they're supposed to be doing, which is jobs, looking after their people and doing things.
You make an interesting point, because in my experience, having dealt with iwi leaders when I was a political editor, they very much shied away from actively engaging in political parties like they are now.
And that's why I don't
So it is a little strange.
I think the reporting is not necessarily true of actually what's going on in iwi leaders.
I think good on them for trying to bring them together, but I think they might be able to paper over their differences. They might be able to persuade John Tamahiri that he shouldn't let off more social media tirades and level abuse at his own MPs. But I think the differences are probably irreconcilable. I think it's gone too far, because if I was an MP and my leader was calling me greedy, a rogue, I would not feel safe. I wouldn't be able to trust that leader, and so I can't see how they can all get together again.
But doesn't it remind you, so maybe not to the same extent, of the formation of the Greens, coming out of values, and there was a real juncture and a real a continental rift between those who wanted to be a purely environmental party and others who had...
This doesn't seem to be about policy and principle. It seems to be about personalities.
Agree.
And whether John Tamahiri is a dictator or not, and there's talk of this toxic culture. So that seems to be what it's all about. And yes, we've all But why? If there's a rift, why can't it be resolved internally?
Well,
Nobody
it looks
likes
like they've tried.
all this dirty linen. We can't stand it, and the divisiveness. We don't want. John Tamahiri needs to calm down. We don't like this divisive. Vicious sort of attacks in public.
Now, just very, very finally, in the last minute and a half we've got left. So have a listen to this little clip from David Lange.
And that's the question with which we would like an answer, sir.
And I'm going to give it to you if you hold your breath, just for a moment. I can smell the uranium on it as you lean towards it.
There you go, David Lange there. Now, David Seymour did make it clear he wasn't advocating for the government's support for nuclear power, but he says we need to have an adult conversation about nuclear power. Sue Kedgely, are you in support of an adult conversation in this country about nuclear power?
Complete nonsense. We shouldn't even, bother to discuss it. Really, it's so stupid. When we've got solar, we've got wind. We're only 3 to 4% solar in New Zealand. Across the ditch in Australia, they're 11%. We've got renewable energy. It's just David Seymour trying to be controversial and attract votes.
Holly Bennett, an adult conversation about nuclear power. Other countries do it.
And this is the worst thing for radio. I don't have a strong view. All of these decisions were made before I was born. So.
All right, Corin, we'll leave you out of this one.
Well, I just say this, it didn't work very well for the coalition in Australia because they looked at it and it went down like a lead balloon over there.
Good on you. Hey, what a cracker of a show. Kia ora to you all. Corin Dann, Holly Bennett, Sue Kedgely. Fantastic stuff. Stick around on RNZ because Nights with Emile Donovan is coming up.